10 at night.
I know that because my cousin is.
Alright, so here we go. Real quick, I'm just going to go through this. So what you guys are supposed to do is you write a game loop that will display the X and Y coordinates of our badges as they move across the screen. So we are going to slowly build upon this. So we're going to start with it just having a two-dimensional list with one badger, and we are moving the 0 index, which is the X coordinate of our badger, across the screen by subtracting 7, and I didn't put that in here. Oh, well, you guys have the paper. Thank you.
I'm just saying. You always like
move across the screen.
Yeah. Now you're yelling at her to tell me. We're just trying to be nice.
You guys are being nice. I'm being mean. Thank you. So here we go. So we start by importing. If you import random as R, then you don't have to type random.randint. You can type r.randint. I like that a little better. We're going to start with bad guys. This is a two-dimensional list, so it's one list with two elements. There's a reason why in the homework yesterday, or those advanced list problems, you guys had to create a list with two elements. Well, hopefully me explaining it, Josh, will make it less confusing. So you start with this. This is the spawn point of our first badger. It's 15, 50, while true. So we're not necessarily going, you don't need a break in this because it's not going to get that far. So I just use while true because I want it to loop. You then need to display, in the while loop, you need a for loop to cycle through your bad guys. So the X location of the badger is 8, which is 15 minus 7. The Y location of the badger is 50. The Y location of the badger is 1. Y location is still 50. Notice we're only taking 7 away from the X coordinate, which is index 0. Once it gets less than 6 or less than 0, it'll stop. In my code, I couldn't get it to not print -6. So it's probably some stupid operation error, like order of things that I just didn't take the time to figure out. So if it looks like that, that's fine.
Why do you need 2 brackets in the original?
Because it's a list of lists. You remember in your advanced homework, you guys had to make a list of lists. This is why. Our bad guys are stored as lists, XY coordinates in a list. So you have to have a list of lists.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
What? How else are you going to store the X and Y coordinates of an object? Yeah, but how are you going to delete? It's a lot easier if they're in one thing as opposed to 15, 50, 45, 675, 30, 23, 54. So now delete one badger. You would have to code 0 and 1, but not 2 and 3, and not 4 and 5, but 6 and 7. So it's easier to do it this way. So we have a list of lists. So once you get this, now the next step is to add a timer that counts down every time the while loop iterates. So every time the while loop cycles through and starts over, you need to subtract 1 from your bad timer. Every time the timer gets less than 0, append another badger to the bad guy list using random numbers from 10 to 600 for both the X and Y coordinates. Continue to display the coordinates like you did above. So we're starting with the same 1550. 8, 51, 50, -6. Now we have a new badger, 217 and 88, 210 and 88, 203 and 88.
Should only be one badger at a time.
Nope, because now we have 577 and 196. So now we have 2 badgers here. Now it's getting hard to keep track of each badger. Add the index of each badger so the user can see which badger is where. So now we have badger, location of badger 1 is here. Location badger 1 is here. Location badger 1 is here. That one gets deleted once it gets less than 0. Now we have Badger 1 is 217, Badger 1 is 210, Badger 1 is 203, Badger 2 is 29, Badger 1 is 196, Badger 2 is 22, Badger 1 is 189, Badger 2 is 15, Badger 1 is 182, Badger 2 is 8, Badger 3 is 132. So now we have 3 different individual Badgers on screen. Now, and it continues to do that. Now we're going to add, yes, David. Nope, you're cycling through the list of bad guys, so there's no range. Now, this is not in our game, but this was just something to add to it that will make your game a little easier to make better. If you add images to each bad guy, instead of having just XY for the Badger, you have XY in an image. That way you can actually randomly select or change the look of your bad guy during your game. So the image one of this should be bad guy. So notice it's gopher, raccoon, gopher, raccoon. So it changes the image. And then what you do in your code is you have this, just like we have player and bad guy and grass, those are actual images. We load images in at the very beginning. So that's it. So this, if you can do this, this will help you understand and make the actual building of our game a little easier.